Once we get past the debt ceiling crisis, the market's going to be the closest it's been to normal since 2019. And when the world goes back to normal, we like to circle back to one of our absolute favorite secular growth themes, which is the humanization of pets. For years, I've been saying that Americans increasingly treat their pets as full-on members of the family. And that's still going strong. As you know from the top of the show, that's where we are. Which brings me to Zoetis, which makes vaccines and medicines for both livestock and companion animals. They benefit from the pet theme and also from our collective love of meat. That's why they call it the duality of man. Well, this stock's gotten slammed last year. It was down nearly 40%, which that made no sense to me at all, making a comeback in 2023, or at least it was until the debt ceiling talk started taking up all the oxygen. Doesn't seem to matter that Zoetis reported a pretty good quarter earlier this month. Fortunately, Zoetis held an Investor Day event here at the New York Stock Exchange, and it was an effort to get the corporate mojo back, and I think it's going to work. Now I want you to get the same pitch that the professional got, maybe better. So let's dig in with Kristin Peck, old friend of the show, CEO of Zoetis. Ms. Peck, welcome back to Mad Money.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back, Jim.
We were just celebrating on the floor of the exchange Memorial Day and what it means so much to our country for our fighting women and men and to remember them and also to honor them. It turns out that pets play a key role in military families.
Yes, no, we've always been proud to be supporting the military and really paying for the care of retired military dogs. But military pets are really important to the families as they're deployed across the globe. Those pets are really important ways to keep that family connected, to provide stability for the spouse or for the family. And it's really important to the mental health more broadly, as we talk about it all the time with millennials and Gen Z. But for our military, those pets are a really important, stable part of those families.
We also know that for the elderly, they discovered, particularly during COVID, that pets are about the best companions you could possibly have. And even longevity is connected to owning pets.
Yeah, we've done a lot of research on the human-animal bond as one of the fundamental drivers of our pet care business. And the fact is 95% of pet owners see their pet as an important part of their family. 90% of pet owners would spend, quote, whatever it takes to take care of the suffering of their pet if it got sick. And I think it's because that human-animal bond, that important role that pets play in our mental health, but our physical health as well.
It's interesting to see that a lot of the pet plays post-pandemic have actually fallen down. But yours, because it's a science-based company for pets, I think has just continued to accelerate. Can you kind of explain the difference between Zoetis and companies that just cater to pets as food or pets even as, say, veterinaries through major chains?
Sure. I think what's differentiated Zoetis specifically over our 10 years is that we're invested in innovation, and we really bring disruptive innovation to the veterinary space, which supports both pets and pet owners. We brought innovative solutions, which you talk about all the time. Like Apoquel and Cytopoint for atopic dermatitis, certainly parasitology. But one thing we announced today, which we're super excited about, is the difference we're making in osteoarthritis pain with Librela for dogs and Silencia for cats. In fact, today, as you probably heard, we announced those two products alone, we believe will deliver $1 billion plus in sales for Zoetis at their peak sales over the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay, so I'd like to think that we have never been negligent pet owners. But we had a pet that had this, and we did not know because pets don't talk, and we weren't observant enough. How do we know when we need these for our pets?
Well, with dogs, it's a little easier. You sort of notice because you're constantly walking that dog. You notice sometimes the mobility. Sometimes they'll gain weight because they're not getting up and exercising enough. But to your point, it's not always obvious. And for cats, it's really challenging. And one of the exciting things we're doing is leveraging AI, artificial intelligence, to help diagnose cats. So we have Cat Pain IQ, where you can basically take a video of your cat jumping or walking or going down the stairs, and you can upload it. And we can analyze that video and tell you whether or not your cat is at a high risk of osteoarthritis or sort of where that is in the disease. You can take that video, share it with your vet, and make an appointment.
Well, I have to tell you that's incredible. Having had many, many cats and never having, unless witnessing they were great jumper cats and they couldn't, we had no idea. Now, I want people to understand the revolutionary world that you created. We had a dog wearing an Elizabethan collar for a long time. Maybe you can explain what that's really like and then what you did to free dogs of that.
Yeah, I mean, what we came out is a product called Apoquel, and it really transformed dogs' lives. And then we added innovation on top of that, a monoclonal antibody called Cytopoint, which is a monthly injectable, We built on top of that with Apoquel Chewable in Europe. So that franchise for Zoetis today is worth $1.3 billion and growing this year double digits.
And people have to understand, when Ramon Alex first came on and said it, he actually addressed, because I told him that our dog's wearing this kind of like a lampshade. He said, wait till you see what happens. Candidly, the other spin-offs that have been for animal health have just been also rants. You guys have been incredible. And as incredible as you once explained to me, for livestock. And there was a chart in your amazing, I thought that this stuff was so good, livestock poised for continued growth, only 2 to 4% growth. Now, how is it possible in a time of incredible inflation that we don't have the herds being grown like mad? Is it a healthcare issue? Can they not do it? Is it issues of, say, illnesses that you haven't gotten to yet or you're trying to solve?
No, first of all, we think there's fundamental drivers of livestock. To your point, It's grown historically around 3%, 2 to 4%, and we're projecting it to do that going forward. Animal health, to your point, is a very resilient and dynamic industry, and even in recessions in 2009, still grew 3%, and on average goes 5 to 4. Livestock has grown a little slower than pet care, so if livestock's 2 to 4, pet care is more like 6 to 8. And really the reason that livestock doesn't grow as much is you don't have treatments for same chronic diseases of long life. So as you think about dermatology and OA pain and these areas where we're driving billion-dollar franchises, you don't have that in livestock because the animals don't live as long. So we think there's still really exciting innovation. And importantly, the demographic trends of 2 billion more people by 2050. Right. Those people are going to be eating more protein and need more sustainable sources of animal protein. So Zoetis is investing there, and we believe we can continue to grow there.
Okay, so Kristin, I think a lot of people are always mystified when they hear that there were 2 million chicken that died over the weekend, or that swine, overnight. Could you tell me what happens at these places that you could make it so that every single one of these animals catches it in a weekend?
Well, what really happens is once, and you look at these like high-path avian influenza, which you and I have talked about a lot.
Yes.
We talked about earlier this year.
Not talk about, you've explained to me because you're the expert in this stuff.
The challenge is once it enters a herd or a flock, you really have to, the whole flock is at a risk of infection. So that's why it's relatively tragic. It doesn't sometimes mean that everyone already got it, but once it's in a flock, there's really no choice. And so what we're really focused on at Zoetis is prevention and biosecurity and helping producers across the globe be able to do that. And we've been investing in that, as you know, for years in providing more preventative treatments. With regards to high-path avian influenza, as you know right now, there is no approved vaccine in the U.S. We're certainly working with the USDA, as you know, to get one, as others are.
And will you be working with, say, Walmart, which just announced a new initiative that I think is terrific because you basically have what you said with cats, telehealth for animals. And Walmart covers 200 million people. Good thing for the pet industry?
Yeah, so I think telehealth certainly has an important role. But in the U.S. and most of the U.S., you first have to establish what's called a veterinary-client relationship. And we're really invested in that because, as you said, the pets can't speak. And so there's only so much you can see on a video. But there's a lot that can be done in telehealth. It can also help provide leverage to vets who are really busy today with all those new pets that were adopted, as you know, throughout the pandemic.
And more. It didn't stop. Most of those trends reversed, but not the trend that you are very much a part of. I want to thank Kristin Peck, the CEO of Zoetis. And I also want to tell you guys, as pet owners and people who have saved animals and stopped animals from being killed, Zoetis is probably one of the most important companies in the world for doing the right thing for pets. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks so much. Absolutely.
Always great to see you. Yeah, Money's back in.